Welcome everybody to the virtual Unit 1 preview. This will just be an overview of important information for Unit 1. After watching, please reach out if you have any questions or concerns. As you can see, my email is eperkins@uplifteducation.org. Before we dive into Unit 1, I want to introduce myself a bit because it's my first year as CTL. My name is Ellen Perkins. I'm originally from Beaumont, Texas, and my whole family still lives there, including my adorable niece and nephew. I'm slightly obsessed with them and very close to my family, so I'm sure you'll hear much more about them. I studied education at UT and graduated in 2014. I moved to Dallas and immediately started working as a first grade teacher at Peak. I'm starting my 4th year as a first grade writing planner this year at Peak. I'm excited to push myself to be a CTL this year, and my job is to hopefully make your job easier, so please feel free to reach out whenever. That's what I'm here for. I was also recently accepted to get a master's in teaching with Relay this year, so I'm excited to hopefully share some of that information with you as well. This unit is focused on many fundamental writing skills. In this unit, we will be going through the writing process to create personal narratives. Click the link to preview the unit at a glance. Remember, this is just a start. You might have to make changes for your campus, but use this to help you plan out your Unit 1. Here's the focus for Unit 1 from the scope and sequence. Use this to help you decide what needs to be covered throughout this unit. I love how the readiness teaks are lined up next to kinder and 2nd grade to see that progression. The scope and sequence can be found on Blackboard in the 1st grade class. All you need to do is find the tab on the left that says Scope and Sequence. These are all of the teaks that will be covered in Unit 1. There are a lot, but don't feel overwhelmed. Many of these teaks will be covered throughout the entire year with different writing pieces. I had a big idea for the next year. Now, I haven't done this successfully yet, so I will keep you updated on how it goes, and I will be very honest. The underlined teaks are teaks that I feel are super important but don't get as much practice as the others. My plan is to start each lesson with a mini lesson. These underlined teaks are those mini lessons for Unit 1. My plan is to cover one of those teaks for an entire week. In the next slide, I'll explain a little bit more. Like I said, these are some teaks that I feel sometimes slip from being explicitly taught. I plan on covering one of these teaks for the entire week, each week throughout each unit. I'll only spend about 7 to 10 minutes each day. I used to only have 30 minutes for my writing block, so I totally understand if you're feeling like, what? When will I have time for this? If it doesn't fit into your writing block time, use spare time throughout the day to touch on these important standards. For example, morning meetings, centers, etc. It will not take long, but I feel it's important to take time to focus and master one skill a week. On Fridays, I will assess the scholars and allow them to track these teaks in their goal folders. This will be a wonderful way to data track for writing in your class. I have a tracker that I will use to track these teaks each Friday. You can find it in the Resource Bank folder on Blackboard, and I'll show an example in the next slide. Below is an example of what this might look like for 1.21c. This teak allows scholars to recognize and use punctuation for different types of sentences. On Monday, you can just introduce punctuation and assess prior knowledge and create an anchor chart or a KWL with the scholars. On Tuesday, you'll use your time to teach the 4 different types of sentences with a song or an anchor chart. I like to use a Mo Williams book like Don't Let the Pigeon Drive the Bus to see all 4 different types of sentences. On Wednesday, you could allow scholars to complete a foldable about the 4 different types of sentences. On Thursday, scholars can decide what punctuation belongs at the end of each sentence with a partner or by themselves. On Friday, the standard will be assessed. Scholars will select the correct punctuation for 4 different types of sentences. And here's the tracker. If you make this double-sided, you will have more than enough space for each teak. That even leaves room if you need to reassess certain teaks as a class or individually. If this is something that stresses you out, don't do it. But for me, I haven't had many chances to assess these standards in writing. This is something I'm going to routine into our weeks from week 1 and will hopefully be completely scholar-led after the first unit. We have a new lesson plan template this year. Can you believe it? But honestly, I think it might be my favorite yet. It is straight to the point and just covers the necessary components and nothing else too distracting. With each lesson, I will annotate as much as possible to help you digest the lesson. But of course, if you see something that still doesn't make sense to you, reach out to me. I will upload a total of 10 AMLs, annotated model lessons, throughout the year. Right now, you will only be able to see 5 of them. The next 5 will come next semester. so I will work hard to cover a variety of topics within those first 5. If you have been with Uplift in the past, not much has changed on Blackboard, but I do want to cover the basics. Once you go to your first grade class, you will be able to find writing on the left-hand side. Then you can find this dashboard with these 5 folders. The first folder is Unit at a Glance and Unit Previews. Here you'll be able to find each unit at a glance, preview, and assessment. Use this to guide and to plan each unit. Next, you have your annotated model lessons. Here you'll be able to find all of the AMLs for writing. Next is our resource bank. Here I'll have all of the resources for the mini lesson standards. Also, center activities, rubrics, data resources, etc. Next, we have our artifacts folder. Throughout each unit, I will upload Scholar artifacts that will help you for the unit. Next, we have office hours. Here I will upload any notes or important information about Unit 1 office hours. If you notice, the other tabs are very explanatory on what is inside. Example, scope and sequence, CAs. And of course, you'll be able to get a hold of archived material as well. Just find the years below. Here's the score sheet for Unit 1 assessment. Take from this assessment what works for you. Don't forget to click the link so you can glance at the entire assessment. A few things to know. 1.21a will be assessed on numbers 10 through 13. A scholar will receive 1 point for each sentence that is written correctly. Focus here on correct formation of letters and word spacing. This assessment will be posted on Blackboard and for you to use if you would like. There's no specific day. Do it when it fits into your writing plans. So this is the Writing Alive planner that I use for most writing and retelling. It works perfectly for all narratives, and I have pictures inserted to show an example of what a finished planner might look like. As you can see, the beginning is a triangle, and in the triangle I have my setting up at the top, and below I have my main character. The thought bubble shows what the character wants. That can be what she wants to do, etc. Then down below I have my problem. Sometimes our personal narratives don't have problems, so I usually use this as a so box. Next we have our middle. We always separate our middle into 4 events. If you need to scaffold for some scholars, you can also always start with just cutting the box into 2 pieces. The middle of the story is always the longest, so we show everything that happens in the middle in these 4 boxes using pictures and labels. And then our circle is the end of our story. This is our solution or reflection of our narrative. I use this planner constantly, and I have scholars use it in centers and guided reading to retell a story and also to let them creatively plan for writing. We use it so often that by the end of the year I don't even have to make copies of it because they can just draw it completely on their own. You can find this on Blackboard Resource Bank.